The next set of things that we're going to look at with angles are vertically opposite angles, transversals, and corresponding angles. So let's look at some examples here. What I want you to do is, in your book, just join two lines together so it makes a cross, and it doesn't have to be a symmetrical looking cross. It can be crossing over any angle, just like that. So two lines crossing over each other. And then I want you to measure all of the angles that it makes. So your cross will be different to anybody else's. Hopefully you'll get different numbers. And then we're going to look at what we spot with these four angles. So I'm going to show you my example on the left. I've got my protractor ready here. I'm going to measure A and D because that's a straight line that crosses over. Now if I measure A first, I can see that I'm going to use the inside scale, and I'm going to go along that. I'm going to measure the inside scale, and I can see it goes up to 110, 120. So angle A is 120 degrees. So we're just going to write that here. And then we're going to look at angle D. Now we may not need a protractor for this because it's a straight line. We know that A and D have to add up to 180. So we're expecting this to be 60, but we're just going to check. We're going to use the outside scale starting from 0. You can see that as we go along, you end up with 60 degrees. So that's what we were expecting. So we're going to label that 60 degrees. Now we're going to switch this protractor around, and we are going to move this, line this up. So this is still angles on a straight line, but what you may notice here, or you will notice no matter how you've done your crossover lines, is this angle here, starting from 0, so we have to use the outside scale because we're going clockwise. I can see it goes up to 60, which is the same as the angle opposite. So we're going to label this 60 degrees, and we know that because this is a straight line, this angle plus B has to add up to 180. So in this case, 180 minus 60 is going to give us 120. So that means that these opposite angles are equal to each other, and these opposite angles are equal to each other. So we can say A is equal to C and D is equal to B. Now, if you've done your own version here, what you should have found is A and B are equal. So A is equal to B, and we can also say X is equal to Y. Now, there's a special name for this when you've got two lines that intersect each other at a vertex. You can probably guess what it is from the name of the video. They are vertically opposite angles. So when two lines cross at a vertex, the angles opposite each other are equal. So in this case, we're just going to label these 1 and 3. So we can pick whichever pair we want. So these two angles are opposite. So we're going to call this angle 1, angle 3. We don't normally use numbers like this, but this is just an explanation. And then we can call this angle 2 and angle 4. So they are equal to each other. So look at some examples here of deciding whether these are vertically opposite angles. And we need to remember the definition. So there are two lines that cross at a vertex. So here, for example 1, we've actually ended up with 3 lines, and the vertex isn't a single point. There's actually 2 different vertices here. There's one there and there's one there. So we can say A. We can't be sure if it is equal to B. It's possible by chance that it does equal B, but we can't be sure. So there's not much to say. So they're not vertically opposite. So we can definitely say that. So that's no. Here we've got 2 straight lines, and these are vertically opposite each other. So yes, they are equal. So we can say C is equal to D. Now here we've got we do have a single vertex, but we've ended up with essentially 3 lines. And that doesn't quite work. E and F kind of look like they might be opposite, but it doesn't work. What we should have done is that line should have extended, and then that would have been equal to E, ignoring the F. Or we could have extended this line here, and we could have said that that's F, and this would be F as well. But in this case, we can just say they're not, E and F are not vertically opposite. For G and H, so we do have a crossover, but we need to be careful here because they're not opposite each other. They're actually next to each other. They're adjacent. So G, the vertically opposite angle would be there. And for H, the vertically opposite angle would have been there. So the original diagram, though, they're not vertically opposite. This one here looks like it could be because you've got two lines crossing. However, it's obvious from the diagram that this line here isn't a continuation of that line. You can see it's actually two separate lines. So if you go back to the definition, it says when two lines cross, well, this is actually three lines. You've got this line 1, line 2, line 3. So they are opposite, but they're not vertically opposite. So that's a no. And then this example here, we can see a straight line there, and we can see a straight line there. Now, if we ignore the other lines, they are two lines crossing over each other, and they are vertically opposite each other. So in this case, they are vertically opposite angles. We can ignore the other lines around this because they are two continuous lines, straight lines. We look at some more examples here. List the pairs of angles which are vertically opposite. So list a few pairs of those. Which pairs of angles sum to 180? And do you know the value of any of the angles? Pause the video and have a go, and then I'm going to show you some answers. Okay, so for vertically opposite angles, I can see that F and H are vertically opposite, G and I are vertically opposite, and I think that is it. So F and H and G and I. Which pairs are sum to 180? Now there's going to be lots of answers to this. So anything on a straight line. So F and G, G and H, H and I, but also G and H, F and I, C and D, E will be 180 by itself, although that wouldn't count as a pair perhaps, and A and B. So the answers are here. I haven't gone into too much detail with this though for now. And then it says, do you know the value of any of the angles? There's not enough information for us to know any of the angles other than which ones are equal to each other.